Minister, I want to highlight a serious contradiction at the heart of the immigration and passport system, one that raises serious concerns for national security, consistency and public trust. Minister, if I may, let me start with the Irish passport system. Every Irish citizen, as you will know, goes through a rigorous process to get a passport. Parents applying for their first child's passport must submit the long-form birth certificate, photographic ID, proof of address and have them all signed off by An Garda Síochána. It takes weeks, sometimes months for that standard, which is strict, but it should be. Now, if we look at what's happening on another arm of the state, people who enter Ireland with no identification at all, no passport, no birth certificate, no official documents, are being allowed to apply for asylum and later, in some cases, Irish citizenship. And in certain circumstances, they cannot obtain ID, but they are allowed to submit a sworn affidavit instead, a legal document that simply declares who you are. Once that affidavit is accepted and if a citizen is granted from the Department of Foreign Affairs, then it is accepted naturalisation certificate without question, without issue, and sometimes following that is the issuing of the passport, no further checks or no further balances or no further questions. Minister, this raises a serious issue we now have. A situation where one arm of the state is applying rigorous verification standards and another is accepting unverified personal claims in the form of sworn statements without any way to confirm the truth. Even more worrying, in a reply from my parliamentary questions to both the Department of Foreign Affairs and the Department of Justice, confirms that we do not track and we do not count the many people who are granted the citizenship or passports in this way. The state is simply not counting them. Just to put that number in perspective for you, Minister, 775,000 passports were issued in January to August 2024, and it is anticipated that this year the number will raise to 1 million passports at the end of the year. 56,000 of those were from the county of Cork, my own constituency. And of course, the vast majority of these are legitimate. But should we now take all those applications were subject to scrutiny and based on full verification? Minister, this is not about compassion, or it is about consistency, it is about national security, and it is about waking up to the fact that naivety or laxity can be weaponised against us. Minister, do you accept that there is a gap in the standards of the passport naturalisation process and serious weaknesses? And can you confirm that every single asylum protection is being fingerprinted, identified that comes into this country? Thank you,
Minister.
Just to answer your last question, Deputy O'Flynn, while I have it in my mind, yes, anyone who comes in claiming international protection is fingerprinted and assessed against the Eurodac system. And, certainly in terms of anyone who arrives into a port, they are. Deputy, you raised issues about the passport system. And obviously, we all want to try to speed up the passport system as much as possible so people can get their passports quickly. You then raised the other issue of people who seek citizenship through naturalisation. I had the great privilege of being down in Killarney on Monday for the purpose of handing. Well, I didn't hand out citizenship, it was a judge who did it, but it was there for the purpose of celebrating citizenship that new Irish citizens got. You'll be surprised at the amount of people there who have been in Ireland for years. I hope he doesn't mind me mentioning him, but he received some public prominence. Mr. David Evans, also known as The Edge, was one of the people who received Irish citizenship. Like everyone in this House, I had assumed he was an Irish citizen, but in fact he came to Ireland when he was 1 year of age with his parents from Wales. So there's a very vigorous system, I want you to know, Deputy, in the Department of Justice for the purpose of assessing citizenship applications. And most of the people I meet Dan and Killarney, who are there as an example. Most of them have been in this country for very many years. You raised issues as well, Deputy, about people who come in claiming international protection, and then as to when they arrive with no documentation, the affidavits that they subsequently swear. Can I just give you some statistics in respect of the excellent work that's been done by the Border Management Unit within my department? And they are doing doorstep operations on a much more consistent basis at Dublin Airport. In 2024, the Border Management Unit carried out 7,325 doorstep operations at Dublin Airport, and already up to the end of May this year, 2,453 doorstep operations have been carried out this year. So there's a significant amount of work being done by the Border Management Unit. If a person comes in and claims international protection, it's the same in every EU country, and it's the same in the UK. They're entitled to have their application considered and processed. What I'm trying to do is to completely speed up that process, so we don't have a situation where somebody is staying in Ireland for a number of years waiting for their application to be finalised and determined. It's much fairer for them, and indeed on the system generally, if people are given prompt decisions. And if we get prompt decisions, if we get decisions that are made within a period of 3 months, at first instance on appeal, as I'm seeking to do, that won't create the type of situation that you're concerned about, where people who either, if they have been granted international protection and they're perfectly entitled to stay, and they may subsequently apply for citizenship, but if they haven't been granted international protection, they won't be entitled to stay. So I think that is the way the system is dealing with it, Deputy O'Flynn. It's a complicated issue, but in terms of the vigilance within the Department of Justice and indeed Department of Foreign Affairs, I think it's at a high level.
Deputy O'Flynn to respond.
Thank you, Ciarán. Minister, are you satisfied that it is acceptable that Irish passports and citizenships can be granted without proper documentation by your government? That's the question here, Minister. That's what it really is about. Minister, all you've done here on your answer is confirm that people can enter this country without identification, claim asylum, sign a sworn affidavit saying who they are without proving who they are, or we being able to check or putting the balances there, and we're not even counting those. I have 4 questions that I put down to both your department and the Department of Foreign Affairs that confirms all this, Minister. We have to admit that we have to keep our state records, and we have to keep it properly. This is about national security, Minister. This is about knowing who is coming into our country. This is about identifying who is coming into our country, and before we even grant them citizenship, not mind an Irish passport. And you know as well as I do, Minister, if you have to apply for a passport, the ringer you're put through for your child, and we've all experienced it here in the House, trying to get passports through and people rushing for passports, and rightly so. Rightly so, Minister.
Thank you, Deputy Minister, to respond.
Deputy, I want you to know that Irish passports and citizenship are not granted easily. I know that from, I'm sure the Minister for Foreign Affairs was here, he would confirm that in terms of passports. In terms of citizenship, I get very many requests from colleagues in this House asking me about citizenship applications, and their criticism is it's taken too long. Why is it going through such a lengthy process? And the reason is, when you're handing out citizenship, you have to do very significant vetting, you have to do tests before an individual is granted citizenship, and that is done at a vigorous level. The usual criticism I face from people in the House is that, God, it's taken too long, why can't we speed up the process? In terms of people coming to Ireland claiming international protection, as I said to you, it's an instant, and it happens throughout all EU countries, that people, if they arrive without documentation, they're entitled to claim asylum. However, if they're discovered to be destroying documentation, that is a criminal offence, and people have been prosecuted for that criminal offence under the Immigration Act. So our systems are getting more vigorous.